Hey there. Hello. How do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. It's the 80s, darling. It's early December 1982. I've been in New York less than a month, and I've been working at the booze store for about 2 weeks. Yes, and it is beginning to tell on me already. I'm not used to this exhaustive 7 to 10 schedule, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. schedule. I'm not used to getting up early, and you got to get up real early and get yourself ready and take the subway in. And then after work, it's a subway ride home, so you're not home till late. These are long days, and it's exhausting, and it's beginning to tell on me. I'm saying, what am I doing here? I'm an actor, and I came to New York to be an actor, and here I've got this exhaustive job in this liquor store. Well, I have to keep reminding myself that I don't actually hate the job. I like my coworkers. A lot of them they're all real friendly, and a lot of them are real smart. I like working in this place. It's very attractive. It's a beautiful and classy and elegant place, and even though a lot of the customers are troublesome, at least 51% of humanity is nice. I believe that, and I found it to be true whenever working with the public or selling to the public. And I really like booze. So, of course, I love this job. The love-hate relationship, but yes. And not only that, every now and then, your week is lightly peppered with celebrities, and that's always usually pretty fun, isn't it? So one day, in early December 1982, I believe it was the 8th, Burgess Meredith walks into the star. Burgess Meredith, yes. Hollywood movie star. You saw those Rocky movies. Come on, Rocky! Burgess Meredith, television star. You saw the Batman show. Whack, 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 whack. Yes, you saw that amazing Twilight Zone episode. It's not fair. Yes, maybe you even saw Burgess Meredith in Of Mice and Men when Lon Chaney Jr. played Lenny and Burgess Meredith played George in the 1939 film version. Whoa! Well, anyhow, Burgess Meredith, Hollywood star, is in the store, and I don't know it. I'm tending to a customer. Excuse me, how may I help you? And she's like, well, yes, I'd like to ask you some exhaustive questions about a really annoying wine that you've never even heard of. And I'm like, excellent. And meanwhile, Lewis comes up behind me, taps me on the shoulder, and he leans over and he says in my ear, hey, look, the Penguin. And I look over and I see Burgess Meredith in the store, and my mind goes, oh no, oh no, oh no, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? I've got to shake his hand. I can't just do that. You just don't want to pester the star. You don't want to abandon your customer. I can't abandon my customer. I'm going to abandon my customer. Just one moment, I said, I'll be right back. And I took off, put down my pad and pencil, and I took off to go meet Burgess Meredith, Hollywood star. And I dashed over there, and Burgess Meredith, a venerable little old man with white hair, slightly hunched over, and he's talking to Morgan, one of our veteran salespeople. Morgan, he's a forest elf. He's just delightful. And the two of them are talking about what? I don't know, because I just barge in. Excuse me, Mr. Meredith, may I shake your hand? And he says, well, that's fine. And we shake hands, and we're shaking hands. And I say, oh, it's an honor to meet you, sir. It's an honor to shake your hand. I said, I love your work. And I'm still shaking his hand. And Morgan says, and I said, oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say hello. I'm shaking his hand still, and I say, I'm a young actor. And he says, well, that's fine. And we shake hands, we break the shake, and I say, thank you. And I turn around and start to move back to my abandoned customer. And I'm like, I realized what I had just said to him. I said, I'm a young actor. that's kind of like saying, "You're an old one." And I'm like, "Oh, no. What have I said? What have I done?" Anyhow, I get back to my forgotten customer and I say, "Excuse me, I had to take care of something. What may I help you with?" And she said, "Yes." And we eventually completed the transaction. As she's leaving, Lewis comes up and he says, "Well, shook hands with Burgess Meredith. That's pretty cool." And I'm like, "You saw it?" He said, "Yeah, I saw it." And I'm like, "Oh, something about that. Something about the corroboration of one of your coworkers makes the incident seem a little bit more real. Something about being witnessed." So I'm like, "Yes, indeed, I shook hands with Burgess Meredith." Yes, and then you know what you do? You go back to the grind. You're at work. It's New York. You better not mess up or we'll make your life so miserable that, whoa, I mean to say, get out there and sell. Yeah. Anyhow, so I'm back on the grind and I'm disappointed in myself. And I'm like, what can I do to make this grind? What can I do to make this exhaustive schedule? What can I do to make myself a better person? What can I do? How can I use this to make myself a more enlightened individual? How can I get some acting job? I'm an actor. How can I get an acting job? There must be some way to get an acting job in this, the mecca of unemployed actors. And I'm like, "Oh, why don't you audition? Why don't you audition?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's what I've got to do. But first, before I audition, one of the things I wanted to do when I get to New York was get some brand new New York headshots from a brand new New York photographer." And my friends who are already here say, "Well, why didn't you get some Michigan headshots from a Michigan photographer so you'd already have them when you brought them in?" P.S. It would have been a lot cheaper than coming to New York and getting them. And I'm like, ew. Didn't exactly. No, well, I didn't. It doesn't matter. I wanted to get some New York headshots from a New York photographer. So I asked around, and I asked my friends, and one of my Detroiter friends, Randy, said, "Oh yeah, I know a good guy. Yeah, he's got a bum leg, but he's a real good photographer." And I'm like, "All right." So I call up. I set up an appointment. He's reasonably priced, and so I go up to for my photograph session. Yes. I go up to his studio, and he's got a real bad limp. It's not just a limp, it's a real bad limp. And I'm like, "Oh," but he's a very serious photographer. He's real intelligent, real friendly, and he's got beautiful photographs around his studio. He says, "Before we get going, I'd like to talk to you about, who you are, and just so I can take some better pictures of you." And I'm like, "Ugh, that's pretty cool." So we chatted for a little while. And then we had a nice, photography session, and for the first half, I'm trying to be all friendly and peppy, and I'm not particularly relaxed. So a lot of the smiling looks a little bit strained, and I'm trying to, and he's coming around sort of being real friendly, and he's walking around, and I'm just not very relaxed in front of a still camera. I'm still only 20-something. I'm still not completely comfortable with myself yet. I know. It'll happen someday. Someday, maybe. But anyhow, then the second half of the photography session, I'm being all serious. And I'm being all deep. I think I'm looking serious. I think I'm looking deep. Yes, and so I took a bunch of sort of happy, friendly, goofy shots and a bunch of serious actor, deep, intelligent-looking shots. So I thought. So we ended the session there. We had another little sort of debriefing when it was over with. He was going to send me I had to come back and pick up the black and white proofs. The black and white proofs. Whoa! Remember? Black and white proofs, you know what I'm even talking about? Anybody remembers what I'm talking about when I say black and white proofs? Comment. Yes, and like this, and share it to somebody who might know what black and white proofs used to be. Yes. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And thank you. Yes, thank you. Anyhow, I've got these proofs back, and you look. There's a bunch of shots, bunch of shots, bunch of shots. Me, sort of goofy, and none of them are good. You get a magnifying glass, to get a look at them because they're tiny. And you get a magnifying glass, and you say, "Oh, this one's good. This one's bad. This one's good. This one's bad." And you go through, and some of your friends say, "Oh yeah, definitely not that one." and so. You eventually decide on two, a sort of smiley one and a serious one. And I say, all right, I want a bunch of copies of each of these. And so then you look around and they're like, it's 500 copies for prohibitively expensive. And we don't sell. I said, I want 250 of each. And they're like, we don't do it that way. And I'm like, I don't want 500 copies of each of these things, and I can't afford the prohibitively expensive 500 copies of each. So I'm just going to have to decide. I go with the goofy, smiley one or the serious one. Yeah, and so I'm going to go with the serious one. And so then I put in for that. I pay the photographer, and I'm going to get 500 copies of me looking serious and deep. Or so I thought. You get it back in full 8x10 black and white glossy, and you realize that I wanted to look deep, but no, you just look sad. Oh, great. Oh, great. I didn't realize how pathetic that picture was. And guess what? It didn't get me any callbacks, I'll tell you that. No. And so I've got my 500 copies of this bummed out looking photograph, and I've still got to go on auditions, but you can't go on too many auditions because they don't have that many Sunday auditions, and so what do? You go back to the grind. When I was in New York for just a month or so, like I've been, you long for the familiar because it's nothing but a sea of strangers' faces. Oh, you've got your core group, you've got your roommates and a couple of Detroiter friends, but everything else is a sea of strangers. Sure, even in your hometown, you go downtown or you go to the supermarket, it's a sea of strangers' faces, but there's something familiar about them anyway, and this is a completely different kind of strange. And because I don't recognize any of you until one day, somebody from Michigan walked right in to the booze store where I work, and I'm like, oh, and I saw him, and I recognized him right away, and I was so excited to see somebody from home. Yes, and I'll tell you about that next time. I look forward to telling you about it. Yes.